You have to forgive my laundry in the background, it's my washing machine, but I was chatting with my friend Tara this morning about. Sorry, I called you out. Anyway, we were chatting this morning about how there seems to be kind of a theme around the healing of trauma lately, and my video that I did just before this one is on going very in depth into trauma because like it was like seven situations crossed my path in the course of like 3 days. And then I had this awesome dream where I was watching a movie about Kathy O'Brien, and she was an MK Ultra victim, a sex slave for several presidents, United States presidents, governments. Her story is just it just bowls you over, man. What happened to her, and the miracle that she of her recovery, and she talks about forgiveness too, and the power of love, and that the darkness just doesn't anticipate that. But anyway, she's put out. Someone has come and told her story and put it in a movie, and it's called Trance, after her book title Transformation of America. And I had this dream one morning that we were all watching her on screen, and when her face came up, I suddenly burst out laughing, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this is such serious subject matter. Why are you laughing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just saw her teeth. They were just so big and white and wonderful, and I don't know." And then that morning when I woke up, I found that there was this hour and a half interview with she and Laura Eisenhower and the woman that created this movie, and it was such a joy. I have never seen Kathy so ebullient and happy and overflowing. And towards the end of the interview, she says, "Oh my God, the things they made me do under MK Ultra just were just absolutely horrific." And then she bursts out laughing, and she just couldn't stop laughing, just kind of kept chuckling. And I know that's why I had that dream about her, because there is such a spirit of joy, and ultimately when you recover from trauma and you get all of those parts of yourself back, there's so much more of you present to experience and enjoy life. And laughter and joy is this kind of like final reward and outcome of recovery from trauma, and our capacity to laugh is like the ultimate victory after something like that. But what I wanted to talk about was just this single phrase that I wrote down in my journal: all sin is misunderstanding, and to forgive is to cease allowing someone's misunderstanding to have control over your life, to have power over you. So technically the word sin in the Bible just means um, like missing the target. It's a mistake. He all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. All have missed the target. Ooh, we tried and we screwed up, but it's a mistake. The idea is that it's, I mean, there are moments where there. I don't want to get into a theological discussion about what sin is, but in the realm of forgiveness, when you're backing way up and you're looking at what somebody did to you, chances are you will be able to, with a deeper understanding of that person and their life and their context and their understanding, you will be able to understand that they just didn't understand. They didn't get it. They were misinformed, even to the degree of somebody who's committing a genocide. There is a misinformed idea that we'll all be better off if we just get rid of a certain something. And it's just, they're misinformed. And that ultimately is going to come from a deep place within themselves that wants to excise their own imperfection. The darkest of sins are an attempt to be more complete, to feel better. And it's misguided. And sometimes it's just horrendously so. And I think we personally in our lives don't deal, as a rule, we don't deal with that level of horror. We will be learning more and more about it and be more and more challenged to find a place of forgiveness. But if we can find it in our personal lives with people that we know love us, people that meant to do the right thing, people who just really screwed up. And we go, okay, like I can see, like when my mom was in therapy, really coming to an understanding of her own parents. She was born in 1929 in North Dakota, and she went through the Great Depression and, as a child. And it was rough. It was really rough. And her parents just made some horrific mistakes, preferring one child over another. And, I mean, it just happens because it comes out of the profound complexity of our own experience and our desire to heal and feel better and coming from these unconscious places. And that's why that's what's happening right now is a growth of consciousness and increase and expansion in our understanding of our own psyches, our own anatomy, why we do the things we do, and continuing to uncover and understand all those layers of the psyche. And then, the healing of trauma brings back, and it's all trauma to a certain degree. The trauma is the abandonment of the self. And when we finally bring all of those pieces of us back online, and forgiveness. My friend was talking about the importance of forgiveness, and it just occurred to me that it really is just letting go of someone's misunderstanding. Like, if there's a really young mother, say your mom was, 18 when you were born, and say there was just, all kinds of trauma around your birth because she was really scared and her body reacted in such a way, or maybe the doctors back then believed in knocking you out and your mom was unconscious when you got pulled out. I mean, the traumas and the shit that we experience, letting go of someone's misunderstanding rather than thinking, oh my God, they did all this damage, or he was such a asshole, or she was such a bitch, or whatever. And it's like, most people are just doing their best. And when harm is done, it's usually because there is a very grave misunderstanding. And I would even take this all the way to evil itself, the dark entities that don't understand that they are a spark of God's source. And if you listen to Alba Weinman, she does past life regressions, and she has a marvelous technique where after the regression, she asks if there are any hanger-oners, any entities that are siphoning energy from the soul. And that could be someone who died. It could be someone that who died, who kind of attached to you because they didn't move on, or someone that's been in a certain vicinity or an old house and they attach to you or whatever. And sometimes the people are discovering that they've had a hanger-oner since they were 6 years old. And they're like, no wonder. Anyway, and sometimes it's an evil entity and they have a conversation, a conscious conversation. How long have you been with so-and-so, and why are you here, and what is the benefit, and why did they allow you to attach, and what was the agreement? And are you ready to go off on your own? Can you see that siphoning energy from this person is just inappropriate? Can you see that you have a God spark within you and that you don't need these, even in the spirit realm, these dysfunctional, parasitic, codependent relationships? Can y'all just take your power back? You go home, you go to the light because you're all done with this evil thing, and you get all of your pieces back. You get to have all your energy. So, yeah, even when it comes to evil, because I have transitioned a number of dark entities to the light because they were done. In fact, a couple of years ago, I was taken to a football field size place in my mind. In other words, my guides were like, this is big. The whole stadium's going to fill up because you've opened a door and you've said, I have the power and authority to help you get home. I don't know how or why I do that. I just found myself doing it. So there I was, and they're all like, oh my God, we're so done with the dark, maybe they were reptilians. I don't know. But even they had a misunderstanding. And they were serving something that they thought, hi, Gypsy, that they thought was going to make them feel better. And their there are certain things to be gained, but like the highest vibration that the dark has, I think, is lust. It's a desire for something, and then it just doesn't go any higher than that, and under that it's, anger and fear and all that dark shit, but they're just trying to feel better. They think feeding off of other things, it's like you could just, instead of feeding off all these things that contain the light, you could just go to the light. And there is no punishment except what you give yourself. There's just love. So, yeah, on that note, I've been wanting to share another experience that I had that gave me, and today I should really go on Kismet and do a little bit about the Nine of Clubs, because that's today, and it's about having the largest, your crown chakra open, a bigger perspective. And a couple of weeks ago at church, it was Easter, and I'm participating in the band there. Not really a member of the church. A long time ago, I went to a similar church, but it's a Unity church, and I've been in the band, and it's been, a very sweet, wonderful learning experience. And a lot of people go to Unity because they've been injured by the church. They've been injured by the message that, God is so mad at you that he had to kill his own son for you. So you get to feel really bad about that, really guilty. And he's always watching you and he will punish you. It's just so ugly. And a lot of people who have hi, Raymond, you made it. So yeah, a little deeper discussion today about forgiveness. The Nine of Clubs does open us up to see a bigger perspective, and I will go on Kismet and talk about that. But so, here I am at this church, and I know that a lot of people, especially the leader of the band, has been very loath to sing any songs that include crucifixion stuff because we don't want to trigger anybody. And I agree. I think that the church was infiltrated and the message was distorted and twisted. Nevertheless, there's power in the name of Jesus, and Jesus himself, Yeshua, that entity. He's not what the Western church and what Catholics and the devil turned it into. Okay, sitting at your little computer, Raymond. So anyway, the person of Jesus is something else entirely, and I'm very close with him, and I have had a lot of experiences with him. And you can always tell if there are entities in the room hanging on to people, and believe you me, there's a heck of a lot more of them than you would think. It's crazy common, really common. In fact, I went to pray for somebody at this church, that attracts a lot of post-Christian people. Don't talk to me about Jesus. And I was just sitting behind this couple, and I was looking at the guy, and I was like, yeah, I know things have been kind of rough between them. And so I prayed for him, and this entity came out at me and was like, and I was like, dude. And I was like, dude, was not expecting that. Okay. So he's got an entity, and it didn't want me to invite any light into the situation. Well, because of something I said, they had a dramatic positive shift. And then I prayed before the shift happened, I prayed for him a second time, and the same thing happened. I was like, damn, I totally forgot about that entity. And so I just turned it over to Jesus, and I was like, you deal with this. Help this person, help this situation. And I just let it go. And then they had a shift. And then the next time I prayed for him, this man was either the entity was gone or it was very weak because he had taken some kind of power or control over it, because he had just a shift. I mean, to him, it just would have seemed like a psychological shift where he humbled himself, maybe admitted a few things, maybe let go of some pride. And I got a download about the King of Spades and pride the other day. It was wild. Yeah, and it's really sad but Jesus knew that would happen. And the nice thing is that there's still enough goodness there, and it's always intermixed. It's always mixed. Well, I know that a lot of people at this church have some very, very distorted ideas about a number of things, like big things. And so Jesus whispered to me one day, I brought you here for a reason, to have an impact on this group. And you don't have to say a word, it's just your presence. So Easter comes around, and, I know that I'm disagreeing profoundly with a lot of stuff that they think. And I'm just like, it's okay. I'm just here to, lift everybody up. And then that particular day, because it was Easter, they did this piece where four women came in separately, dressed up in their little Bible clothes, their Bible time clothes, and each one was a different Mary. And they told a story first person about, I'm Mary, the mother of Jesus, and he rose from the dead 20 years ago, and here's the deal. And and each one, it was very sweet. And then I started to cry because the presence of Jesus was so strong in that room, because it just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I was remembering my past life with him. I remembered a past life. I was a child. I lived in the Essene community, and I have very, very clear memory of him. And maybe I'm borrowing someone else's memory. I don't know. But I feel like I remember that very clearly. And I just was sitting there on stage, just tears just streaming down my face. I had to sit up there being part of the band. And I just had such a clear sense of Jesus coming into this church and just saying, I love these people so much. I want to fill up this whole room with my love. I love them. I love them. I love them. And here was this transcendent, divine love that I feel on a very personal level. And it was really big. And it just put a lot of things in perspective about what I disagree about with the crowd. Like, oh, I know they think this and I know they think that, and they've made as much clear, and I'm like, oh my God, they're so like out of touch. But here was Jesus just saying, I brought you here because I wanted to use you and others to channel my love into this church. In fact, the woman that was talking about Jesus as Mary, the mother of Mary, had a near-death experience. And when you look into that woman's eyes, it is just an ocean of love. Like, that woman is amazing. So love is where you find it. Jesus is everywhere. Goodness is in the hearts of everyone. So anyway, that gave me a bigger perspective. So yeah, the Nine of Clubs experience that's available today is a much larger context to explain our reality to us. It's been a very chilled out day. How about you guys? What kind of a day has this been for you? And a lot of you are from my Kismet channel that watch this, so maybe I should just talk about the Jack or the Nine of Clubs today and what it's like. If you're up for that, give me a thumbs up, and I will. Otherwise, I'll just close it down and go over to Kismet and do a quick video over there. And my view counter, again, it says 0. It says that no one is watching. Everyone is left, and I'm just like, I don't believe that. I loved saying that. I don't believe that. So yeah, if you're here, let me know. Maybe everyone is gone. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Yeah. Forgiving other people is not allowing their misunderstandings to have power over you anymore. And with all this club energy, there is a real sovereignty of consciousness that we are being called on to embody. Oh, you're here. Okay, I am going to go over to my Kismet channel. So if you want to hear me talk about the Nine of Clubs, meet me over there, and I will stay completely and 100% apolitical.